Hello, my cookies. Welcome. Welcome, Russell Cooks. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for tuning in. Today, it's going to be a quick meal. It's going to be full of flavor. You can make it vegan if you want. You can have it be vegetarian. I'm using chicken stock, so none of the above. But I'll tell you where you can make your subs. I am doing a Farro bowl. Not Farro, it is Farro. A little bit of arugula in there. Some figs, they're in season. It is peak season for figs, so you have to use them. Please take advantage if you can. And if you can't, a pear is a great substitute. It'll add a little bit more of that kind of bright freshness that you're gonna want in this bowl. We're gonna make a quick balsamic vinaigrette. Just a little olive oil, a little Dijon. We also are going to be roasting up some butternut squash. This is going to kind of give us the heft we want with our bowl. It's going to help keep us full, add a little bit of pleasant sweetness. We're going to roast it up, caramelize it, get some of that really good flavor on there. And to top it off, a little bit of creamy goat cheese. You can sub other cheeses here, absolutely. But let's get started. First things first, let's gather our ingredients. I got 1.5 cups of some farro. I got 4 cups of chicken stock. If you do use water, make sure to add a little bit of salt. Figs, as many as you want in your bowl. I have way more than this, so use what you got. I got some balsamic. I got a really nice olive oil. You need a little Dijon. I am also going to put in a little bit of escarole. This will also give it a little bit more heft, and I like the bitterness here. It's going to play off that sweetness we're going to get from the figs, the balsamic. You're going to need some butternut squash. I'm using a little bit of my pumpkin pie spice. Finally, arugula. I got some wild arugula. It's going to add really pleasant pepperiness here. Now that we got our ingredients, let's get started. I have turned my oven on to 450 degrees. I have put the rack on the lowest level. This is for the butternut squash. You might be able to get away with it in a toaster oven, but I'm gonna have so much that I need my full oven back here. All right, I am actually gonna start with the farro. And now 4 cups of liquid. Bring it up to a boil, stirring occasionally, drop it down to a simmer, cover it, and you're good to go. 30 minutes. Next up is my butternut squash. We're gonna toss it with a little bit of oil, a little bit of pumpkin spice. We're gonna get it on our sheet tray, and it's gonna cook in a 450 oven for about 30 to 40 minutes. I like separating them, and then I peel it with a knife. You can do it with a peeler, but it's just a lot easier. So I've just peeled all this. I get all the green lines off. I'm wearing a glove so I don't get the sap all over my hand. And now I got to seat it and peel this side. We're shooting for 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to cube it up here. Remember, they'll shrink a little bit, so they'll be about a 1/2 inch when they come out of the oven. You know, a little bit of shrinkage, perfectly bite size. Got to simmer here. Got to cover that. Let that go. For my butternut squash, I'm just going to toss them in about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. 1, 2. And I'm going to use about a teaspoon, maybe 1/2 teaspoon, depending on how big your squash was, of pumpkin pie spice here. All right, let's start with a 1/2 teaspoon. See what that looks like. Spread them out on your baking sheet. Again, my oven's 450, lowest rack. We're gonna get good browning from the pan. Remember, middle rack, you get even browning, top and bottom. Top rack, you get the browning on top. Bottom rack, you get the browning on the bottom. Here we go. 30 to 40 minutes, stirring them maybe halfway through, rotating the pan as needed. While that's cooking, I'm going to mise out the rest of the stuff that's going to go into this bowl. We're using some escarole here. You can do as much as you want. I like the bitterness from here. Again, it's going to kind of balance with that sweetness we get from the balsamic, the butternut squash, and the figs. I'm just going to quarter it through the root end here, slice it up maybe 1/2 inch. I'm just going to do enough for my bowls here. The arugula, however much you want in a bowl. I'm not going to use a lot. I want the farro to be front and center here. Next up, we got beautiful, beautiful figs. Look at these. These are phenomenal. Just going to quarter them up. You know what? I'll do a little bit of pear too, just so we can compare and contrast. Then we got all our toppings here. So now I'm just going to make a quick vinaigrette. This is balsamic vinaigrette. I'm going to do 4 tablespoons of olive oil, 2 tablespoons of balsamic, and a teaspoon of Dijon. Add a little bit of heat there, but more importantly, will help keep everything emulsified a little bit longer. I'm going to make it in a big bowl because I'm going to add my farro to this and dress it up. And it's really going to suck up all of that dressing. So a quarter cup, 4 tablespoons olive oil. 4. I'm going to do 2 of balsamic. So I got a teaspoon of Dijon here. We're going to whisk it up. There we go. We got our balsamic. Perfect. Let's give it a little taste here. I'm going to check on my butternut squash, see how the browning is on the bottom. If I'm getting good browning, I'm going to toss it around and try and get browning elsewhere. Oh, look at that. We're getting great browning here. So I'm just going to toss these around. Fun little trick. Put them back in the bowl, toss them around, and get them on here again. Even layer here. Let's continue cooking. My farro is done. Had a little bit extra liquid, so I just drained it off here. I'm just gonna make enough for 1 bowl here so I can save it for tomorrow. Let me get a little salt and pepper into this. Whisk it around. I'll probably put a couple tablespoons of dressing in here. I can always add more. I'll do 3. Get a little bit of escarole, a little bit of arugula. Put some of my figs in here. I'll put a little bit of pear as well. Oh, the butternut squash. Roasty, toasty butternut squash. Let that cool. All right, here we go. I'm just going to toss it around. Here we come with some of the butternut squash. Oh, look at that. And last but not least, we got our creamy element. It's going to add a little bit of richness, a little bit of creaminess. It's going to keep things cohesive here, and that is some goat cheese. All right, here we go. Now, does that look good or does that look good? This looks phenomenal. Let's get tasting. All right, let's see. What can we get here? I got a fig, get some butternut squash, get down in there, get some farro, little escarole here. This is so good. This is so good. That goat cheese just kind of coats everything, keeps it cohesive. You get a little bit of the nuttiness from the farro, and the fig comes in full force. It is sweet, but not overly sweet. It has that just pleasantness to it. Butternut squash complements that kind of vegetal sweetness, and it just comes in, and you get the little bit of pumpkin spice on there. It's just right. I wouldn't want to add anything more. So good. The escarole adds a really, really good crunch here. And then the arugula with that pepperiness and that olive oil. This is great. It's going to keep me full all day. If you really want to take it up a notch, you can always do like a little drizzle of honey here. That might be just right. I think it's perfect the way it is. Let me get a little bit of pear in here. Fantastic. I love the pear. Almost more than the figs. Uh-oh. That's dangerous. Oh, so good. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Don't forget you can follow me on Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. The links are down below. Thanks again for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Take care.